All right, welcome to our wrap-up review of the latest version of Norco's Fluid VLT e-mountain bike. This thing is an absolute ripper. We've been having a ball on this thing for the last month or so. Both Scotty and I have both ridden this bike. Now, the main reason for that being is that it's our first opportunity to ride the all-new Bosch Performance Line SX, the lightweight motor. This is one of the first bikes to land in the country with that motor system, so super exciting. But that's not the only kind of draw card of this bike. It was this bike we really wanted to check out because obviously Norco have got a massive e-mountain bike lineup, probably bigger than most brands. Now, whereabouts does this guy slot into their Norco's latest e-mountain bike range?
Yeah, so this is very much their short travel trail e-bike. They do one which is a little bit longer travel than this with 10 mil more. So this is 130 in the back, 140 in the front.
That's right, the Fluid's offered in two different travels, isn't it?
Two different travels. So they do, if you want something a little bit burlier in the travel, 140 rear end, 150 rear end option. A number of different specs and build options, and then the sight is your all mountain bike, and obviously the range is their heavy duty.
It's that big gravity bike.
Big burly one. Yeah.
So the Fluids, you could say it's designed to be a jack of all trades, two travel sizes like we said. But what's really surprised me, like whilst obviously I was focused on the motor, and we were ripping some trails, 130 of travel, it's kind of made me really question how much travel do I need, because this thing didn't feel like it ran out of travel. It actually felt really balanced.
All about the angles, isn't it?
Now that's the thing, Norco have really smart geometry, and that thing really came to the forefront here. Mate, tell me a bit about some of the key numbers. We've talked about the travel, mullet across the range, which is really cool as well. So being a mullet, I noticed it was, again, really lively and agile, which is awesome. When you think trail bike, you tend to sort of think it's probably going to be a 2.9 front and rear. So that was a little bit of a treat, which is something I really enjoyed with this bike. We talked about there's a bunch of different specs. They started about just over 8 grand in Australia. This spec is the absolute top of the line. Like, how good is it? Carbon everything.
New transmission, carbon bars, like the attention to detail, like a one-up dropper, carbon Crank Brothers wheels, new code brakes, or the Praxis carbon cranks. All the bells and whistles.
You literally could not spec a bike better. And the thing that was crazy when you combine all of those Gucci elements is how light is this bike?
Dude, like, this is like, I know we've said this before, but I mean it. This thing is as light as your regular bike.
It really does. Like so we were putting on a vertical bike rack. Normally you kind of got to brace yourself to lift an e-bike on this thing. It's just throw it up, throw it down. Now, a lot of the weight of a bike on an e-bike usually is the battery. So let's talk about that, kind of segues us nicely onto this thing. The Performance SX comes with a 400 watt-hour battery as stock in the down tube. Now, that's going to give you, 50k plus of range depending on what power model you're putting in. If you do want a little extra juice though, Norco do offer a range extender. And the additional 250 watts, which is going to sit in the water bottle mount. Obviously, that's not on the bike right now. So yeah, essentially this thing could have up to 650 watt hours. Mate, that's plenty of range.
Dude, but as we touch on, and like we've touched on with some of the other SL bikes, because the weight's so much down, I mean, some other e-bikes are, in excess of 24 kilos. Power to weight, like it's very economical. The power, like it charges very, very quickly, but and you go 55 Newton meters of torque, but do you really need that much more torque because the bike's so light?
Well, exactly. And now let's talk about the power, mate. 600 watt of peak power. That thing is literally the same as the CX, which is the most popular e-bike motor on the planet. So this thing is absolutely swinging. When you take into fact that there's so much less mass that you got to move around because the bike's lighter, it extends the range. Like, it's really blurring the line of like, is there a need for full fat mountain bikes? When you've got something like this, like, you're spoiled for choice.
100%. And like, when you look at this thing up close, really Norco have gone the extra mile with the detail. The down tube is very sleek where the battery's housed, and also that new SX motor, like it's very small, very compact, very quiet.
It blends into the overall look. Like, you'd have to take a second glance to really pick that's an e-bike.
Correct, and all the cradle and that is very, very neat. The bash guard's very, very neat. So when you actually look at one of these in the flesh, they're getting pretty comparable to your regular bike as well, silhouette-wise.
And that's the thing, if you pedal this thing with it turned off, which is something we always like to do, just to sort of see how smooth it is, especially when we get a new motor like we've never ridden before, being the SX model. Very, very smooth. The actual feel of the motor, which I brushed on in another review on this, is very familiar. It feels a lot like the Performance Line CX that we've ridden on dozens probably of test bikes over the last year or two. So you're very, very familiar. But then at the same time, you've got all the reliability that Bosch are kind of known for. Huge dealer-based service as well across Australia. So if anything ever goes wrong, you're not going to be off the trail for long at all.
Yep.
Bosch are really leading the way. Like, did you check out the app though, the new Flow app that they've just done the updates?
Yeah, and it's similar. Like they've done a ton of updates. Very user friendly. Links via Bluetooth, so you can change your torque settings. But there's a ton of other features on the actual application where you can keep an idea on how many hours you've done on your battery, ride lengths, distances. If you're into that sort of stuff, then you can definitely do that with the Bosch motor.
Yeah, you can upload your range, exactly.
Correct.
And it's even got the option to have the e-bike alarm, which is a first off we've heard of, is that subscription-based service. But essentially what that does, when you connect it to your phone, it renders the bike completely immobilized, useless. So if someone was to steal your bike, they can't ride because they can't turn it on.
Yep.
But if they actually took it away, like, you know, they really did steal it and went away, mate, this thing has GPS tracking. Police are going to knock on their door and all of a sudden your pride and joy is back in your hands. So great peace of mind that Bosch are offering there. A really fantastic security element. So it's super impressive. Now, overall, Scott, you know, we spent a lot of hours on this bike out on the trail. What kind of rider do you reckon this thing is going to cater to? Because I was surprised, as I said before, 130mm, I thought it's going to be pretty like kind of like short, you know.
Well, let's turn the tables a little here. I mean, you're always asking me what I think of a bike. However, you've ridden this bike pretty much as what I've ridden it. What's your take on this thing? Who do you think this type of rider's for?
Well, I would so I consider myself a bit more of a gravity kind of focus. I enjoy those gnarly bits of trail or the fun bits of trail. That's what I kind of seek out from my rides. But to be honest, it really suited me there. The efficiency of the bike is crazy. It's awesome just to like have a little play around the car park even. Like it's just an agile little fun bike. You know, but at the same time, like if I wanted to go out and the father-in-law, you know, he's what, 60 years old, mate, he'd have a ball on this thing. Like 100%. He'd be able to hit sections of trail. And again, because it's so light and agile, he'd be able to maneuver that thing. He's not going to get himself into trouble. So I reckon the cross-section of riders that a bike like this is going to appeal to is really, really wide. It didn't leave me wanting any more, that's for sure. A lot of fun. I reckon the Fluid VLT is definitely ticking a lot of boxes.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's super nimble with the mullet setup. Like corners amazing. Definitely the type of bike you can go out and do some big trail rides on for a little bike. Really loves the flow trails, the corners, the Buddhas, the jibs, the jumps. Sure, when I rode this on some of the heavier trails that we normally ride on the bigger bikes, yeah, you're stretching this probably a little bit beyond
its depth a little bit.
It's out of its depth a little bit. However, it's still pretty stable with that little bit of extra weight, more so than your regular whip. Very, very stable, but super capable on the heavy stuff. However, really purpose built for having a lot of fun and really hitting some nice corners, flow trails, jumps, and having a really good time on.
Well, there you have it, mate. The bike that Norco decided to wrap the all-new Bosch SX motor around it is an absolute knocker. Loving that motor. That's an absolute highlight, and it's a motor we're going to see in a lot of bikes over the next year to 2 or 3 years to come. Bosch, obviously, heavily anticipated arrival, and yeah, getting the opportunity to test it out was a real treat, and in particular, the rig that we got to ride.
Yeah, Norco have definitely killed it with this bike. It looks amazing. These are in dealers across Australia right now. Norco, as you know, sharp pricing, great availability, awesome deal, whatever. So yeah, definitely one to worth checking out if you're into a bit of a jack of all trades for your e-mountain bike. Make sure you like and subscribe, check out our YouTube channel, and also check out our up and coming issue of Revolution Mountain Bike Magazine, where we're going to go into a ton of detail about all the facts and figures on this bike. That's right. Cheers.